Welcome to Holly's Pandorium, featuring your host, psychic medium Holly Jordan.
Hey everybody, it's Holly, and I'm back to chat with one of my favorite guests ever. And believe it or not, I'm starting my 4th year of podcasting, Al. Can you believe that?
Wow, that went quick.
I know.
Holy cannoli.
I can't believe it. So Al and I have been talking for a couple of years now, and we were talking about the temperature this morning. And I'm in Washington. He is in New York. And I was complaining about 25 degrees. Tell everybody, how cold was it this morning, Al?
Well, when I got up, it was 1 degree.
Right.
And when my son-in-law got up, who got up like an hour before me, it was -4.
Yeah, I'm not going to complain anymore. Because that's just beyond cold. Beyond cold. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So Al has a very diverse history. And any of you that have watched my show before know that Al has a lot of experience in the paranormal. Al is one of those people that grew up in the paranormal and has really had the full enchilada. He has had experiences from one side of the realm to the other. So we're going to talk about some other things that he's experienced that we haven't before. So I guess, do you want to start with what you've done recently? Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give Al the floor, and he's the greatest storyteller ever. So get comfortable, get your blanket, grab your popcorn or your snacks, whatever that is, and have a seat because you're in for a ride. Here we go. This is Al Santariga. Welcome to Holly's Pandorium. Thanks for coming back, Al. I appreciate it.
Oh, Holly, anything for you, anytime. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Recently, I went out with another podcaster who's looking to get into the investigation side of the stuff. And he said, Al, next time you go out, could you take me with you and, show me the ropes? And I was like, sure, absolutely. Next time I go out, I'll give you a call. Now, I live in Dutchess County, New York, and there's a particular house up here I've been called back to. This was the 3rd time. Now, the first time I was called there, it was 2 years ago, and the family was having all kinds of really bad experiences. He had a room, which was a Barbie's room, and for his granddaughters, he got twin granddaughters, 2 cute little girls, and they were petrified to go in that room. They said there was monsters in that room. They wouldn't go in it. And he had what was ever there did not like women. His wife was getting slapped in the head. His son's girlfriend would get slapped in the back of the head. And the grandchildren would never sleep over. And so he calls me up and he says, this is what's going on. And I said, okay, I've known this particular person my whole life. We grew up together. Turns out we're related, somewhere along the line in Italy, we're related. And so he calls me up and he says, I need you to do me a favor. I said, okay. So I went up there. Now he's been living in his house for 30 years and he's always had paranormal activity, but it's gotten dark now. It's getting violent and the house is humongous, just humongous, big house. So I go there by myself, and my psychic Cindy, who was just getting done with back surgery. So I couldn't call her. I left her alone. So I used Katie Turner out of Canada.
Nice.
So Katie said, yeah, I'll sure. Anytime you need me, just give me a call. And we walked the house, and Katie was basically saying, okay, right behind this person's house is a Revolutionary War cemetery. And this giant development, which was like, I don't know, I would say 1,000-acre farm at one point, has all these really, really huge homes on it. and each home has a lot of property. And she says, okay, your house is not the only house that's being affected. She told the family, she said, somebody from 2 houses over went down to the cemetery and played with a Ouija board. And what they did was the colonel who was buried in that cemetery, the Revolutionary War colonel, who owned the property, was conjured back. And he came back and he went into my friend's house, and he did not like the family. Now, my friend is a indigo child.
Okay.
And his wife has got, she definitely has abilities, because her energy was totally chaotic.
Okay.
Crazy energy.
Yeah.
And his kids are indigo kids, and on his mother's line from Scotland.
Oh.
And so Katie told us all this stuff. This guy, he's hiding in the basement. He doesn't like women. He was a very, he didn't treat women kindly when he was alive, and he doesn't like all the women in his house, because my friend had twin daughters.
Right.
And one of his daughter had twin daughters.
Okay.
So there's a lot of little girls in this house.
Sure.
And so this guy, this entity is just a nasty, and he has a finished basement. His father was living there for a while, and it drove his father out, dragged his father off the bed. Didn't like his father being down there. And his brother was living there for a while, and his brother got chased out too. And so I went there, and I was like, okay, well, we're going to take care of this, And Katie told me what I needed. So I went there, and she told me to get red brick and grind it down so it's brick dust.
Okay.
It has the same elements in it as not cobblestone. Oh man, I can't think of what it was. It's another kind of stone.
Okay.
And she goes, put that around the perimeter of the house. So we went through this house, and we went into every room. First of all, the family has got like 6 million mirrors everywhere in the house. Mirrors facing mirrors. I mean, I said to him, what is wrong with you people? Why do you need so many mirrors? Are you people that vain that you need all these mirrors? And then in the bedroom, they have 2 full-length mirrors facing one another.
Oh, no.
I walked in between those 2 mirrors to get to the bed, and the energy made my knees buckle. I had to sit down on the bed. That's how powerful it was.
Oh,
and Katie's
dear.
like, flip those mirrors the other way, throw sheets over them. She said the closet has got entity in it. They when they're in bed sleeping, they hear the doorknob rattle. You know what I mean? But no one ever comes in. Or they'll hear the doorknob in the closet rattle, and just all kinds of stuff. So I went through there, and I first wave through, we opened up all the windows and we saged.
Yeah.
Second wave through, I used frankincense and myrrh and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Did that. Third wave through, we did the holy water and the holy oil and salt. And we sealed everything, Then I have a concoction that I've made up that's a combination of purification tools and elements. I call it Aqua de Dio, the water of God.
Okay.
And, had it blessed and everything. And what I did was I sealed the perimeter of the house on the outside. And it was funny because while we were there, feeling the outside of the house, and I was there all day.
I bet,
because I was working by myself.
And
that's why I couldn't do everything I wanted to do in each room at once, because I was working by myself. So I had to do everything like 3-4 times.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And because I wanted to do it right, I wanted to make sure that we took care of this because this guy's family, yada yada yada.
Right.
So we did that, and his daughter happens to come over with the twins. and twins are sleeping in the car, and the daughter runs in the house to get something from the mother, and then the daughter comes out and is like, "Oh my God, what did you do?" And he goes, "Why? What do you feel?" He goes, "Well," she said, "the house is so much lighter." She goes, "Dad, oh my God, the house, I've never felt the house this light." She goes, "It actually looks brighter on the inside, you know?"
Nice.
And she said, "What, you know?" And so I was happy to hear that she could feel because I was so drained from the energy.
Oh, I'm sure.
Day, the residue of the energy. It was really draining me.
Right.
As a matter of fact, I was so drained that day that when it was over, I couldn't get out of there fast enough.
I bet.
And I got home and he called me and he goes, "Hey, cuz." I go, "What's up?" He goes, "You left your bag with all your stuff here." And I was like, "Oh my God." I'm like, "I'm not coming back to that house, man." I said, you got to meet me halfway. I said, I can't come back to that house. Not again. So he met me halfway. I said, as a matter of fact, he said, "Meet me at this Italian restaurant. We'll go out to dinner." You know, we went out to dinner. Yeah. And he gave me my stuff. And the house was good for a year. And Katie told me, he said, "Tell the wife that she needs to make a quartz crystal meditation circle in the yard facing east. And every day go in the circle and meditate for 15, 20 minutes a day. Right. And every day her energy, will dissipate. And there won't be really any chaotic energy in the house."
Good.
And she was doing this very religiously, and she was having a lot of success with it. She felt better. There wasn't any chaotic energy in it. I felt as soon as I walked in, it felt like I was walking into a tornado, you know?
Oh, wow.
And then her husband and her son started picking on her about meditating, you know, and she stopped. And all the chaos came back. Her chaotic energy came back because they were picking on her. Okay. Year goes by, and he calls me up, and he says, "Dude, we got some crazy stuff going on in the house now, man." He said, "You got to come back." And I left him all the tools he needed to cleanse. I said, you have to do this religiously. Once a month, you and your son and your wife cleanse this house, sage it, hit it with holy water, hit it with holy oil, salt all the entryways.
Right.
I mean, you have to stay on top of this. And the more you do this, the better the house will feel. I said, because even though we got the colonel out, and the colonel went next door to the other house, and the woman next door actually told him, she's like, "Yeah, I seen the colonel come out of the cemetery and go into my basement." But he didn't bother that family. He didn't pick on them for some reason. So, of course, like everybody else under the sun, me included, after saging and cleansing for 2 or 3 months and the house being nice and quiet, they stopped. And little by little, because I told him, I said, you know, you'll get all, I said, we may be able to get him out, but there's always going to be a little residue left.
Oh, sure.
And the more you sage and cleanse, the cleaner it gets, until at one point you'll have all the residue out and the house will be fine. You'll normal again.
Right.
Well, he stopped, and I don't know what happened, but at some point he calls me up a year later and he says, "Dude," he sends me a video of these little things. Oh, no, before that, his daughter shows up at the house one Sunday with the girls. And the girls walk in the house. They walk in the front door and they stop. And they look around. And he's looking at the girls and he said, "What's the matter, girls? What do you see, you know?" And they're like, "Grandpa, nothing. The house is great. There's no more monsters." And they went running into the Barbie room to play. And he calls me up and he says, "Dude, my grandkids just said all the monsters were gone. They're in the Barbie room playing. They've never been in a bar room playing by themselves, you know?" And he goes, "Listen, thank you so much." I said, "Oh, you made my day, you know?"
Yeah.
And then a year later, he calls me back and he says, we're getting all kinds of stuff. And, you know, I don't know what's going on. We're hearing like heavy boots come up the steps. Sent me a video. It sounded like a trolley, like someone moving furniture,
Oh, wow.
but like a heavy travel case, like they had back in the old days when they went overseas by boat. Yeah.
Story.
So he sends me a video of his wife. She heard her boots come up the steps. So she took her phone and she put it out in front of her bedroom door. She closed the bedroom door. She went in the bedroom. And it sounds like somebody moving like a heavy suitcase, like it's on wheels, like on a trolley. You hear boom, 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 boom going down. And I'm like, what the hell is going on in this house? And after I heard that movement of the furniture or whatever you want to call it, I got the vibe that we were dealing with slaves. Like, you know, like, and I called Cindy and I was like, I sent her the video. I said, I'm not going to tell you what I'm feeling, right, but listen, watch this video, you know, get a feel for it. Let me know what you think. And she said to me, she said, Al, this is not the colonel anymore. She said, this is something else. She goes, I'm feeling like slaves. She said she was feeling slaves too. And I was like, okay. And I started laughing. And she goes, what's so funny? I said, because that's what I was feeling too, but I don't claim to be a psychic.
Right.
And she said, no. She goes, you're on point. And she said, somewhere on that property is a slave cemetery. She goes, I don't think it's on your cousin's property because the colonel is buried there with his family. And he wouldn't put a slave cemetery next to his own. Okay. You know, it may be on the far end of the property, wherever the property goes. So she goes, but what you're hearing is like servants working in the house.
Okay.
That's what she said. These are servants who are working. She said, I don't know why the servants are there. I don't know where they came from, but that's what you're dealing with now. Wow. So did a little research, and I found out that New York State had the second most slaves in the country, second to only South Carolina.
Really?
And I also found out that the ones that didn't work in the city as servants worked out on Long Island or up here in the Hudson Valley as farm hands.
Okay.
And I said, well, that makes a lot of sense because this guy had like 1,000 acres. You
right.
know what I mean? 1,000 acre farm. So when we found out that they were from one of the islands, I forgot which island it was from. But I called a woman I know, Miss Aida Severini. Now, I don't know if you know Miss Aida. She's amazing. She's a hoodoo priestess.
Okay.
And I called her up and I said, you know, this is the research I found. What do I need to cleanse the house? You know what I mean? Because I know the stuff I use for the colonel is not going to work on the slaves. You know, these are not Christian slaves. These are, you know. And she said, okay, you need. And she told me, I forgot. She told me some wild stuff. You know, some really weird stuff. She told me to get, and she sent me a lot of stuff. And I cleansed the house a second time. That time I had my cousin Sean with me though.
Okay.
So Sean came with me and he got his first experience in cleansing and everything. Now, both times I didn't do an investigation because I know what the family is telling me is the truth.
Sure.
These are relatives, you know, they're not going to lie to me. And so in my mind, there was no need for investigation. We're just going there to cleanse. So Sean and I, we go through all the rituals that Miss Aida told us to use, and we did everything. And again, from top to bottom, from the attic down to the basement. Oh, as a matter of fact, the first time I was there, I pulled into the driveway, and my cousin's waiting for me in the driveway. And I was like, I've never been to his house. I said, do you have a finished basement? He goes, yeah. I said, do you have a big, long, black leather couch on the basement? He goes, yeah. And I go, the colonel, I said, because, you know, what's the name? Katie told me it's Colonel. The Colonel is in your boiler room. And I had a vision last night that I was sitting on that leather couch, and he came out and he ran along the wall and he ran out the back door. You have a back door to your basement. And he goes, yeah. He goes, well, that's what I seen.
Wow.
When we went down there, and I'm saying, and I'm talking to the Colonel, I was like, Colonel, I know you're here. Mm-hmm. I know you're here. You know that I know you're here. And I'm in the boiler room. And I was like, and I could feel his presence in the boiler.
Sure.
Was not a happy camper that I knew where he was.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I'll tell you what, Colonel, I'm going to walk out. I'm going to leave you alone. I'm going to go and sit down on the couch. And all I want out of you is to go out that back door. And I sat there. And just like in my premonition, I seen the shadow come out of the boiler room, down the wall, around the other wall, and out the back door.
Oh, boy.
And I was like, my cousin couldn't believe it. He was like, dude, that's exactly what you described to me when you pulled up. And I was like, yeah, I had this premonition. I don't usually get a lot of premonitions, but that's what I seen in my dream last night.
Right.
So then we go the second time we go in and we do all this different kind of cleansing, something I had never done before with tools I've never used.
Okay.
And thank God for Miss Aida, and cleaned the house. And I told him, okay, listen, you have to stay on top of this. This property is crazy haunted. There's there's a lot of layers to this property. According to Cindy, she goes, Al, I don't know if he'll ever get this house clean. She said, there were Native American wars against other tribes. She said, that's the first layer. She said, the second layer is Native American wars against the French.
Oh.
The third layer is Native American wars against the English.
Oh, wow.
The fourth layer is French and English wars.
Sure.
She said, and then she said, then there's the Revolutionary War. She said, and she goes, you have all these layers of death. Yeah. And that kind of death can attract dark things.
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
She goes, I don't know if you're ever going to get this place cleansed, but this is where you start. I was like, okay. So calls me up the third time. He calls me up and he's like, again, the house is they got all the tall mirrors. They got them all covered with sheets and stuff. And
they're learning.
They had a master bathroom in the master bedroom and a hallway bathroom, 2 full bathrooms back to back, and each one had from floor to ceiling nothing but mirrors. And I was like, you have to put this stuff, you have to, every now and then you have to spray some salt water onto the mirrors, let it film up, and when it films up, clean it off. Because I said, you got these 2 mirrors back to back. I said, we have to do this. So I go there, and again, I don't know how I'm feeling this, but he's telling me about all the stuff that's going on there. And I'm like, okay. And as he's telling me this, I'm getting images of Native Americans. Okay. Mm-hmm. I'm very familiar with the tribes up here in the Hudson Valley. They basically all came from the Iroquois Nation, and they sprung out of the Iroquois Nation as the mother tribe. And then you had a lot of like the Mohegans and stuff like that. They all came from the Iroquois. And apparently they used to fight with the tribes in Connecticut, who were the Mohawks, I think. So I go there. Cindy says, okay, now Cindy being half Native American, she says, okay, this is what you need. And she gives me a list of stuff, what I need to go. And I go and I call this guy, Joe, up, who's the podcaster. And I said, here, Joe, this is the address. Meet me. But Cindy says this time, she says, Al, this time, do an investigation. She goes, maybe if we do the investigation, we can finally put this house to rest.
Yeah.
She said, you've never done an investigation yet, because I know it's haunted. I don't have to investigate.
Sure.
She goes, do an investigation and let's see what we get. So we go in, me and this guy, Joe, and, thank God Joe was there, because we were there all day. This house is a big house. And when you have to hit every single nook and cranny, it takes all day.
Sure.
And we sage, and and Cindy says, and I told my cousin, I said, when we're done here, cleansing and saging and everything else, you need to build a little altar in the backyard. A little pottery pot out there, a little tobacco, a bird, a couple of bird feathers. You have to acknowledge the Native Americans. This was their land. And if you want to live here in peace, this is what you have to do. You have to build an altar, And I said, you could burn some sage I said, you could burn some white sage out there. You could burn tobacco. You don't have to burn anything. Just put it out there. But you have to, I said, if I was you, I would also go to the feed store and buy some corn and put some corn out there as well, in a little bowl or something. I said, but you have to make an altar. It has to be made out of rocks, and you have to give thanks to these people and the land and everything. Right. And he's like, okay. So, again, I bought everything to get him started. You know what I mean?
Right.
But me and Joe, we did the whole, and it's funny because I thought I had everything covered, right? Say, okay, when you go to these things, batteries are gonna die, stuff is not gonna work. You know what I mean? Going in that no matter what you bring with you, something is not going to work. You know?
Yeah.
So I'll go to her. I go, where's the most, the rooms that are the most active? This room, that room, the other room. I'm hanging up little jingle bells. I said, let's hang up these little jingle bells. If we hear them ring, we know, where this room is having activity, we'll go there. And so we go into the first room, which is his son's room. And the energy was really bad in that room. It was really, whoever was in that room, I don't know if it was a brave or what, it was not a happy camper,
Right.
Because his son, being a fireman, he has a very much chismo kind of energy.
Oh, sure.
And whatever was in there had the same kind of energy, but they were banging heads, like almost like two braves fighting for respect. Yeah.
Oh, sure.
And so we go in there and we set up a periscope wand, little cat ball, and I break out. I'm showing Joe how to use the equipment because I can't use everything. So here's my night vision camera. It works on IR, and then you switch it over. You could go to UV, this, that, and the other thing. Here's these lights are for the UV. These lights are for the IR. Blah 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 blah. Let me know if the battery dies, and I got extra batteries. I got solar charges. I got all kinds of stuff with me.
Sure.
Turn the camera on. No sooner do we turn it on, SD card full. I don't have any more SD cards. That's the one thing I didn't bring extras of.
Oops.
Like that thought never crossed my mind that I needed to bring an SD card with me. So that camera gets packed away.
Right.
So I said, all right, Joe, use the thermal camera. Right. I'll film with my phone because I had two cell phones with me. One to use as for apps, and one to film what I was using.
Sure.
And I said, use it. I've used this thermal camera a million times.
Right.
Inside, outside, I never had an issue with it. That day, we couldn't get it to focus. It would not come in focus. And it has two focuses. It has an electric focus,
right,
and it has a manual fine focus.
Okay.
And no matter which one I used or both, camera wouldn't come in focus.
Wow.
Pack that up. That goes in the bag, down, two down, right?
Oh, wow. Okay.
Two right off the bat. Boom, don't work. So we're in there, and I got 3 voice recorders going. I have one that runs continuously,
Right.
one that's voice activated, and a mini cassette, like a little cassette recorder, right?
Yeah.
Old school. I like to go old school, new school, with everything, because
Exactly.
you never know what's going to work.
Right.
So we're in there, we're filming, and we got the recorders going. And I don't like to do EVPs in real time in front of the clients.
Okay.
And Joe, my cousin's like, hey, play those back. Let's see what we got. And I was like, no. I want to play them back when I get home. I could put the headphones on.
Yes.
And really focus. It's nice and quiet. And if there's anything, I'll let you know.
Mm-hmm.
So he leaves the room, and Joe says, how come you don't want to do that? I said, Joe, the last thing I want these people to hear is the word demon.
Right.
I was like, they've been living here for 30 years with activity. If they hear the word demon, they'll move tomorrow.
Right.
I said, so I don't play any EVPs back for any clients in real time, because I don't know what we've captured.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that's just my personal opinion. I know a lot of guys like to do it in real time so they can get it on the camera while everybody's there and get all the expressions of everybody, like, oh my God. No, I don't like to do that.
It's not worth it.
I was on investigation one time, and the meter read 666, and the group I was with were a group of women, and they all flipped out.
Oh, sure.
And I was like, ladies, this is bullshit. It's not a demon.
Right.
This is something trying to scare you out of here. And
exactly.
Like, how could you be so sure? So I'm just telling you, the energy is wrong. I'm telling you, I don't claim to be psychic, but I'm telling you, this is a false 666. This is just trying to scare you. And that's what it was. Cindy acknowledged it later on in the night. But anyway, so we go to all the rooms, and I let Joe use, the only thing that really worked great, 2 things worked great. The Periscope one worked great, in a bunch of rooms. And the dowsing rods worked great. The dowsing rods were going crazy.
Interesting.
And Joe being a newbie at it, I said, here, you use the dowsing rods. And when he felt that energy go through his hands and up his arms and through his body, and those dowsing rods started spinning, he was like, dude, are you serious? And I'm like, yes, dude, I am serious. They are amazing tools. And filmed Joe doing that, filmed it with the Periscope one. And this went on through the whole house. We did this everywhere. And then at one point, what is the dining room now used to be her father's room. Her father was living there. He was dying. He was in hospice, and he was staying with her. I don't know what kind of relationship she had with her father. I don't know those personal questions. None of my business. And we go into the dining room. Not that I know it was the father's room. To me, it's just that it looks like a dining room.
Sure.
And we're in there, and the Periscope one is going crazy, and the dowsing rods are going crazy. And she goes, I want to use the dowsing rods. I was like, okay. So I gave them to her. And then she started asking her father for forgiveness. And you could have heard a pin drop on a rug. When I tell you, it's like everybody held their breath, and the dowsing rods weren't moving. And I was like, oh, please move. I'm saying to man, please move. Yeah. And I said, wait a minute, because now she's starting to get nervous, and she's starting to cry because the dowsing, she's like, cross if you forgive me, open if you don't. It's not doing anything. So I go over with the Periscope one, and I said, say it again, ask again. Green for yes, red for no, because the Periscope is, positive ions, negative ions.
Sure.
And she asked again. This time when it lit up green, the dowsing rods crossed.
Ah,
And she's
nice.
like, is it the energy from the periscope making the dowsing rods? I was like, absolutely not. This thing is
No.
not going to affect those things. I
No.
go, I'll show you in another room. And then she asked again. I said, now we'll take the periscope one away. Ask again. And they crossed. And she was so happy. She was crying hysterical. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then we went out into another room and I showed her, how the periscope one does not affect the dowsing rods. It doesn't put off energy like that. It just attracts energy. It takes energy and it doesn't put energy out. And so we left that house and I called my cousin up about a week later and I was like, oh, as we're leaving, we're outside, saying our goodbyes, me, Joe, and my cousin, and we're outside talking, and my cousin says, what made you think it was Native American? And I was like, I don't know. That was just the vibe I got, and when I called my psychic, she got the same vibe immediately. Mm-hmm. And he goes, that's funny. He goes, because on the top of the hill is a Native American cemetery. And I was like, dude, you didn't think to tell me that from the beginning?
Minor detail you overlooked.
You're telling me now as I'm leaving, that would have helped. I said, next time, give me that kind of information. It's kind of important,
Right.
But I couldn't believe that the Native American cemetery is up on the top of the mountain.
Right.
The Colonel is in his backyard. So I know somewhere on our property is a slave cemetery. You know what I mean?
Right.
So again, I told him, cleanse, sage.
Right.
Every time you sage, the house will get better. There'll be less and less residue. And don't forget to give thanks to the Native Americans and give them offerings once a month. This month, it could be corn. Next month, it could be tobacco. The month after that, it could be sage. The month after that, it could be, hawk feathers or whatever. You know what I mean? Yeah. Just give thanks.
Right.
And he's like, okay. And I haven't heard back from him since then. So I'm assuming everything is good. Because when I don't hear from him, I know the house is good.
Right.
He only calls me when he has issues.
Sure.
Yeah. But, man. And then, so now I'm going through all the EVPs, right? I got all these EVPs to listen to. I got all this video of the periscope wands going off and the dowsing rods moving. And I got to still put it up on my page. I keep saying I'm going to do it, but I just haven't had the time between the holidays,
No, yeah.
So I said, I'm going to get to it. And I'm going through the EVPs. And I hear my voice say, bastard. So I'm like, that sounds exactly like me. So I called Joe up. I said, hey, Joe, when we were in the son's room, did I ever say bastard?
Yeah.
And he's like, no, Al, you didn't say bastard the whole day. So then I called my cousin up and I said, is there anything you forgot to tell me? And he goes like, what? I go, and I told him what I picked up. He goes, oh, yeah, we have a mimic in the house.
Oh.
When I'm home by myself, I hear my wife calling me. And when she's home by herself, she hears me calling her. So, again, it would have been nice to know going in. But I know.
Wow.
It's the first time since I've been doing this, and God knows how many years, that I've ever picked up a mimic of myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool.
Well, it is. It's kind of amazing. Just for the viewers and listeners, Al, can we talk just for a minute about the significance of the mirrors?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Mirrors hold a strange kind of energy. And when you put mirrors face to face, it creates a portal. And that the bigger the mirror, the more powerful the portal. So when you have two full-length mirrors facing each other, the energy going through both of them, and then like I said, I walked in between them because I was walking in between them to flip them the other way,
Right.
As soon as I got in between them, my knees just buckled and I went down on the bed. It was like,
Right.
wow, that was like my head just got dizzy, my knees buckled, and next thing you know, I'm sweating profusely and I'm sitting on the bed and everybody's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Flip those damn mirrors away from one another. Like, "Oh, why? What does that do?" I was like, "What does it do?" I said, "You people are all sensitives. Everybody
Right.
in this house is a sensitive,
Yeah.
and you don't realize that mirrors facing one another is no." And then whatchamacallit said something to me too. Katie said to him, she said, "I see a gun, an old-fashioned like musket kind of gun."
Mm-hmm.
She goes, "It's not operable, but this gun was used in the murder." She goes, "Do you have anything like hanging over your fireplace or anything?" And he goes, I found one.
Mm-hmm.
He found a gun in the basement. His father used to own a building, an old building. And when they sold the building and they were cleaning it out, they found this old musket gun buried in the basement or something. And he
Right.
brought it home with him. And she said, "You got to get rid of that gun. It holds dark energy, and you got to get it out of the house because it's no good." So then I walked in the house. I didn't feel anything, like with the gun, like dark energy. But then when we went into the garage to do something, and I felt it. And I said to him, I said, "You still got that gun?" And he's like, "Yeah." "What are you doing with that gun?" I said, "This is the third time I've been here. Why didn't Katie told you to get rid of it? What do you still have it?" And he looked at me and with like these big puppy dog eyes, and he says, "Al, I can't get rid of it. For some reason, I can't let it go." And he gives it to me. He goes, "Here, you take it." I'm like, "No, I'm not taking that thing home with me. I don't want it." I said, "Put it in your car, go down to the Hudson River and throw it in the damn river. This way it's underneath water, you know what I mean? And the water will seal it,
Right. Yeah.
I said, "But you got to get it out of his house." He goes, "Can you do it for me?" Because he can't do it. I'm like, "No, I'm not putting that thing in my car."
Yeah.
Because
No, thank you.
attached to that thing could leave the gun and be attached to my car. You know what I mean? I don't want that thing coming home with me.
And I want to interrupt you one second. Let me interrupt just for a second. So for anybody listening and watching, someone might say, "Well, isn't it obvious? Just destroy it, burn it." That's a no-no, because whatever's attached to that object is now going to be released. So what Al's talking about is the safest way to not just dispose of it, but to actually protect it from ever affecting anyone else. So that was a perfect suggestion for you.
Unless somebody's fishing in the Hudson River and reels it in on their lure, it's gonna be stayed buried underwater and it'll stay sealed, absolutely. But it's just absolutely crazy. I couldn't believe he still had that stupid gun and he can't get rid of it. He's for the life of him, and he doesn't know why he can't get rid of it. It's not like it's a family heirloom or anything. Sure. He just can't get himself to throw it out,
Right.
And I'm not touching it. I'm not touching it. I'm not taking it. I don't take souvenirs. I'm not John Zaffis. I don't collect his stuff. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's your stuff to get rid of. I just come here and do the cleansing. But we got a lot of evidence via the video. We had we used a couple of the apps. We didn't really get much on like the. We got a lot with the Periscope one. We got a lot of video of, and we got a lot of video of the dowsing rods. Those two things kind of work the best. Cat balls didn't move. The bells never rang. Anything like that. And the apps really, I've used these. There's like a handful of apps I use. I've been using for like 10 years, and they work well. You know what I mean? And the only app that really worked well that day was the Ghost Radar. The Ghost Radar was telling us where the energy was. And when you went over to the area where the Ghost Radar said it was, the periscope wand would go off. So that obviously the what was the other thing called? The Ovilus. Not much from the Ovilus. I have a whole bunch of stuff I use.
Right.
Of course, I have regular meters too, like the EMF meters and stuff like
Sure.
that. I got 3 different EMF meters. None of them went off that day. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
Yeah. It was, I have one that measures really high EMF, and I have one that measures really, really low EMF. You know what I mean? It's just to see, because sometimes the one meter, the high end meter that measures high EMF doesn't go that low. So if it could still be EMF, but this meter is not registered because it doesn't go down that far. The cheaper one I have goes all the way down to like 0. So
Really?
it does measure, but it doesn't measure that high. You know what I mean? So I use them both. But so I mean, that was pretty good investigation. And hopefully not tomorrow, maybe next Tuesday or Wednesday, I could start getting the stuff on the BPS page, Facebook page, and putting it up, because I put a post out there saying that I was doing the investigation. There was evidence to come, but I just haven't been able to get to it, you know?
Sure.
Yeah. But I wanted to listen to all the recordings, you know, like I said, when you have 3 different pieces of equipment going in each particular room,
right,
and it's in for each room for like an hour or so, it takes a long time to listen to all of that, you know, that stuff. Yeah.
Right.
So, I got breaking news. Someone has contacted me. I'm not going to say who or where this person is from, but they were recently filming a UFO outside their house.
Okay.
You know, at a location. It really wasn't outside their house.
Okay.
They were outside filming a UFO. And after like 10 minutes or so, they rewound the video to see what they captured. And he got audio in the video, and he thinks it's alien communication.
Oh, my.
Yeah. So I passed it along to my brother, the parapsychologist.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, run this through your software. Let me know what you think.
Right.
I listened to it. Very, very strange. As strange as it was, in the audio, I heard audible, it's like a human voice, say, help me.
Hmm.
So I don't know what he actually captured. I don't know if it was alien communication. I don't know if it was just entity communication. I made him look up his camera to find out what frequency it recorded at. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because whatever was communicating with him was communicating on that frequency. You know what I mean? Because he didn't hear it audibly. The only time he heard it is when and there's some weird stuff on it. And could it be alien communication between that craft he was filming and a mothership that he couldn't see?
Sure.
Maybe. I mean, it was very strange. But in between all that strange communication, that strange language, there was a human voice that said, help me. So I told my brother, I said, I'm not going to tell you what I hear.
Right.
You put it through your software. Let me know what you hear, what you find out. And he said, okay, give me a couple of days. I'll get back to you. So, but I thought that was really, really cool. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And this guy's he's excited, but he's scared too, because if it truly is alien communication, he's afraid the men in black are going to come and kick his door in, you know?
Yeah. No, I get that.
Yeah. So I said, don't worry. I'm just going to give it to no one else is going to hear it. No one else is going to see it.
Right.
I'm going to give it to my brother, and we'll go from there, you know?
Right. Right.
But he got 10 minutes of video, you know what I mean? So
that's quite a bit.
Yeah, it's a long time. Yeah.
That's actually a lot. Most of the interactions I hear from people are very fragmented. And even people that have been abducted, their memories are in little pieces. They're little teeny clips of memories, little teeny images, and they have no idea of how much time passes, and it's very choppy. It's very
Yeah.
little teeny fragments of things. So you have
Yeah.
some other UFO things of your own.
Yeah, there was 2 experiences where I believe I was going to be abducted, but it didn't happen. So the first one, it came about. I was having terrible headaches, terrible headaches, and I couldn't. I had to wear dark glasses. The light hurt my eyes, and I went back to the doctors every week for like a month straight, and they tried everything, and eventually the doctor was like, you know what? We're going to do a spinal tap on you because we can't figure out what the hell is wrong with you,
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, great. This is what I want, a spinal tap,
Yeah.
And the week before I was supposed to go for the spinal tap, there was a Native American powwow going on. We have a lot of, powwows up in the Hudson Valley, New York.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Sure.
two or three every summer.
Right.
And the kids were small. And I said to my wife, let's take them to the powwow. Let's get them out of the house, take them to the powwow, and just check it out. Something different. And she's like, okay, fine, let's go. So we go to this powwow and we park, and we're walking in the beginning of the park is where all the booths are set up and everybody's selling merchandise and stuff. And we're walking along. I'm pushing my son in a stroller. He was small, maybe 4 years old.
Okay.
My daughter was about 8. And I'm pushing my son in a stroller. And this little Native American guy, looks like a Native American to me, comes out of this booth and he stops me and he says, you have something dark attached to you. So I was like, okay, I'm listening.
Mm-hmm.
He says, if you'd like, we could go in my booth and I can cleanse you. So I was like, okay, how much is this going to cost me? And he says, no, I'll do it for nothing. I'll cleanse you and you'll be better.
Okay.
And I was like, so I told my wife, take the kids around the park, let them see all the sights and everything.
Yeah.
I'm going to go in here with this guy for a few minutes and see what happens. So we go in and I sit down and I'm in this little room and there's a guy sitting next to a guy not far from me with a tom-tom, and he's banging on the tom-tom. And the shaman, he told me he was a shaman. He said, I'm gonna cleanse you. And he got a couple of things of sage and he started dancing around me, chanting. And at one room, it was like an outer body experience. Okay. There was so much smoke in the room. It looked like the room was on fire. And I couldn't see the native dancing around me with this. All I heard was the one with the tom-tom, but I could hear them both chanting. And I'm like, oh, it's like I'm tripping out here, this is crazy. And then the tom-tom stops and I hear him go to the back of the room, open up a drawer, and I hear him moving around stones. I could hear like stones being moved around, and opens up the doors, smoke clears out, and he's holding this little yellow pouch. He's holding this, and he says, wear this pouch all the time. It will protect you. You won't have anything attached to you. Whatever you do, don't open it up and don't touch the stone with your hands, because you'll take all the protection powers away from the stone. So I was like, okay. So that was in late September. I leave that area. I go find my family, and they we had a great day. The kids bought a ton of stuff, a lot of Native American stuff and everything. My wife bought some like wolf things and all kinds of stuff. She's into the Native American stuff, and we go, and I don't realize it, but my headache is gone. My eyes don't
Nice.
bother me. My headache is gone. And we get home and I turn to my wife and I go, my headache is gone. The dude really did take care of me. He cleansed me. Whatever he did, if there was something dark attached to me, it's not attached to me anymore.
Okay.
And I don't have a headache anymore, and I don't need the spinal tap anymore. I
Right.
called the doctor, said, yeah, no, I'm fine now. And she said, what happened? I said, not going to believe this, I tell you, but I was cleansed by a Native American shaman. And she's like, wow. She's like, she didn't know what to say. I was like, okay.
Right.
So that October, Halloween rolls around. It's really, really cold Halloween night. My daughter is dressed as Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz.
Mm-hmm.
My son is a little cowboy or something.
Mm-hmm.
And we walk around the neighborhood. My neighborhood has no lights, no sidewalks, and I got my German Shepherd with me. I got a 125-pound German Shepherd. And all the kids are just running around like crazy, and all the parents are walking behind them with flashlights. And we do the whole neighborhood. And it's like a mile all the way around, but we must have put like 3 miles in. And we get home, and I said, okay, everybody to bed. We'll go through this Halloween candy tomorrow. It's late. I want everybody to go to bed. I'm exhausted,
Right. Yeah.
So kids go to bed. I got my dog sleeping at the foot of my bed. He's got his own bed on a 125-pound K9 trained German Shepherd. Spent a lot of money on this dog getting trained.
Sure.
And the kids are in the next room sleeping, one in each room. We're both laying in bed, and the heat is pumping because it's freezing out that night.
Sure.
So the heat is pumping, and I'm sweating bullets. And I was like, you know what? I gotta take this necklace off. It's just irritating me. It's so damn hot. So yeah. I take it off, and I put it on the nightstand next to me. And I go to sleep. And then in the middle of the night, I see a bright light come through the window. And I'm looking at this light in the room. And I'm like, how is there light coming in? My headboard faces the windows, block half the windows.
Right.
And we got the curtains in and the shades drawn. Where's this light coming from? And I'm looking at this light, and I'm looking behind the headboard, and I see the whole backyard is lit up like daytime. Mm-hmm. I'm like, what the hell is going on? And then I notice 2 tall gray aliens, about 5 foot tall, lifting me up, and they're moving me towards the window. Now I'm out of my body. Yeah. I'm sitting on my headboard because my headboard is squared off. I got a mirror and shelves, and I'm sitting on the headboard looking at me being picked up. But they're not touching me. They're just doing it with some kind of energy. And I'm thinking to myself, first of all, why isn't the dog tearing these things into the asshole? Because he's 125 pounds, and I trained him for just, intruders.
Exactly.
Number one. And number two, how the hell are they going to get me out the window? The window's closed. These are the thoughts that are going through my head.
Right.
And these 2 aliens are just guiding me towards the window in the light. I'm in the light, and they're guiding me towards the window. And everything is like surreal. Everything slows down, and I'm having these thoughts, and I'm thinking to myself, man, this is a crazy dream. You know what I mean? And then my daughter starts screaming in the next room, screaming bloody murder. I pop back into my body. The aliens are gone. The dog jumps up like a bat out of hell. The dog jumps up, runs into the kids' room to see what's wrong. My wife runs in. I run in, and my daughter is wrapped around my son's legs, holding him down on the bed. Oh, my son is laying there crying hysterical because he doesn't know what's going on.
Well, yeah.
And I said to my daughter, Amanda, what's going on? And she said, Dad, you're not going to believe this, but a light came through the window, and Dorothy came through the window in the light. And Dorothy told me that they were going to she needed to take Nicholas out to the light, but she would bring him back before morning.
Oh,
and
wow.
My daughter said, no, you're not taking my brother anywhere. And she had a tug of war with Dorothy.
Oh.
And I'm thinking, I'm trying to wrap my head around this,
Sure.
And I'm saying, but Dorothy is good. Wouldn't it be the Wicked Witch of the West that would try to take? And then I'm thinking, they showed themselves to her as Dorothy because she was Dorothy that night for Halloween. And they knew she wouldn't be afraid of
something
that.
Relatable, right?
They showed themselves to me what they were. Because they knew I wouldn't be afraid of them showing me what they really look like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And my wife is like, oh, it's just a bad dream. And my daughter's like, it wasn't a bad dream, Dad. It wasn't a bad dream. The light came through the window. And my wife doesn't notice because she was snoring through the whole time the light came through the window in our bedroom, and put the kids back to bed. We put the dog in between both of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The dog will sleep in between you guys tonight, and we're going to just be all outside the door. We'll leave the door open, and we'll be outside. So the next morning, because the kids get up at the crack of dawn because they can't get down to the Halloween candy fast enough, That's what they're having for breakfast.
Of course. Yeah.
So they jump up and they run downstairs. The dog goes down with them. And the dog was a big kid too. And the dog goes down with him. And I grabbed my wife and I was like, did that really happen last night? And she was, yeah, Amanda had a nightmare and she thought Dorothy was taking Nick. I go, so did it really happen? I go, yeah. I said, sit down. I got something I want to tell you. So I said, you were sleeping last night when the light came through our bedroom too. And I told her what happened. And she's like, I don't want to hear this. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to know nothing about it. I'm going downstairs.
Yeah.
So as she goes to go downstairs, I turn around and I notice this sitting on the side of the bed. And I was like, I took that thing off last night.
Yeah.
The night I took it off,
right,
they came.
Yeah.
So I said, what the hell is in here?
Yeah.
So I opened it up and I poured the stone that was in there out.
Right.
Onto a napkin because the shaman told me not to touch it.
Don't touch it.
So I put it on a napkin. And this is what I seen. And to me, try to get it as best I can. That looks like a face to me.
Yeah. 2 eyes and a mouth. Yes.
It's even got a red dot for a nose. You can't see it because it's really hard to see, but there's a red dot there.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what really freaked me out is when I held it this way and it looked like an elongated alien's head.
Yes, it very much does. Yes. For those of you listening, Al is holding a smaller stone in his hands, and it does look like when he turns it to the side, it looks like an alien's head. So my question for you is, why are you touching it now?
Because I just lost you. Hold on a second.
Oh, I gotcha. You're back. You disappeared for a second.
I don't see you, though.
No? Okay.
I'm still disappeared because I don't see you.
Okay. I can see
anyway,
you and
you
hear
can
you.
hear me, so we'll just keep going. So,
okay.
You can see me?
Yeah. Yeah.
You can still see me? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I can see you fine.
I can't see. I don't know. Maybe I hit the camera or something. I don't know what I did. It's a new computer. But anyway, so the following year, the powwow comes back around, and I said to my wife, "I'm going to go back to the powwow this year." And she's like, "Okay." She had a good time. She wanted to go. So we went, and we do the same exact thing we did the year before. We walked past all the booths and everything. Now I'm looking for the the Native American who cleansed me last year. I don't see his boot this year. So I ask around who the promoter was, and I find the promoter, and I said, listen, last year there was a shaman who worked out of here. It was a booth over here. It was a shaman, and he cleansed me, and I just would like to see him because, I want to thank him for cleansing me. And he looked at me, and he's like, what are you talking about? I go, last year, there was a Native American here, shaman. He cleansed me. And he goes, dude, first of all, we don't have shaman. We have medicine men.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay. Second of all the medicine men are in the back of the tent and the back of the field in their tents. And to get to them, you have to talk to the elders. You just can't walk up to them. So I was like, okay, then who the hell cleansed me the year before? And he looked at me and he says, I don't know what you're talking about, bro. And I was like, okay. So I go to the back and I sit down with the elders and I explain to them, what happened. And I said, I got this stone. It was given to me. And I said, I don't know what kind of stone it is. I think it's a sandstone. It's brown, but I'm not a gemologist. I don't know what it is.
Sure.
And they go, okay, let us look at it. And they look at it and they look at me and they shake their head. And it's like, no. I go, what do you mean, no? I said, this is not a sandstone. I go, well, what is it? She goes, it's a tiger's eye. And we don't use tiger's eye. He said, this is used in South America and in the Far East. Right. And in South America, they have shamans. In North America, we have medicine men.
Yes. So
then they bring me to all the medicine men, and the medicine men look at it, you know what I mean? And I tell them my story, and they're freaked out, you know what I mean? And they're like, oh, you had an experience with the Sky Brothers and, this, that, and the other thing, and I don't know if they had something on me that was tracking me, that was giving me those headaches or whatever.
Sure.
And they were telling me the shaman who took it off of me, the probably was alien himself.
Wow.
And I was like just blown away by that. And I was like, holy cannoli. And so that was the first one. And then a couple of years later, the kids were older. My daughter had our master bedroom and upstairs, and my son was still in his room, but he had the room to himself now. And we moved downstairs. And they really didn't want to give up the master bedroom because they had the bathroom and everything. But my wife didn't trust my daughter. She said she'll climb out the window on the first floor and sneak out on us. If she's upstairs, she can't get out. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So I was like, okay. So we're downstairs, what used to be the spare bedroom, and we're sleeping in the spare bedroom. And I'm getting ready to get a total knee replacement. Okay. And again, it's late October. It's really, really cold. Could even be early November. Really, really cold out. The heat is pumping. And I'm sleeping by the wall where the window is on that side of the room. And I'm in bed. And the room gets lit up with light. And I open my eyes. And the room is lit up, and I can see the light is coming in through the bedroom window. Again, there's curtains on the window, there's blinds on the window. How the light is getting through is beyond me, but It's coming through. Whole bedroom is lit up. Again, I have this dog laying at the foot of my bed, sleeping on his bed, and I'm like, I see the light, and, all of a sudden I flash back to that other night,
Sure.
And I'm like, what's going on? And I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden, my eyes start to focus, and I see two small gray aliens in the bedroom. But these guys are small, like 3 feet tall,
Sure.
And they're going like this over my legs, and they're going, ooh, like this, right? And I'm looking at these guys, And I'm thinking, I can move my arms or my legs. And I'm not paralyzed,
Yeah.
I can actually get out of bed, but I'm just laying there playing dumb, and I'm
Mhm.
watching them. And again, I'm thinking, why isn't this dog waking up? But the dog is sleeping through the whole thing. My wife is sleeping through the whole thing.
Wow.
I'm wide awake, and I'm sitting there, and one of them, and then I say to myself, I wonder if they can hear my thoughts. And I said, hey, I can see you guys. I know you're in my room. I can see you. And they're ignoring me, like they can't hear me. And they're just focusing over my knees, and they're going, ooh, like this, both of them. And I'm like, oh man, maybe they'll heal my knee, and when I won't have to get the surgery. Wouldn't that be a beautiful thing, right?
Yeah.
Because I've heard horror stories about these knee surgeries,
Okay.
And I'm sitting there, and one of them is moving up along the bed, and he's getting closer and closer to me. And I'm thinking, man, this guy is a little dude. He's a little scrawny dude. I'm a pretty big dude. I wonder if I grab him, if he can make me let him go. And the minute that thought popped in my head, they both went, ooh, like this. They put their hands up. They went, ooh, boom. They popped out of the room, and the light was gone, and they were gone. Just like that. And I was like, son of a bitch, they could hear my thoughts. They were playing stupid, you know?
They were ignoring you.
He was about 4 inches from getting grabbed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
I don't know what he would have done if I grabbed him, but I was willing to roll the dice and find out what he was going to do,
So what happened to your knee?
Oh, I had to get surgery on it.
So maybe you interrupted what they were doing.
Maybe they were going to take me out to the craft and fix it, because 3 years later I had to get the other one done too. So yeah, that was no fun. But that was the second time it happened, and man, it was just. And then, I was wondering if the same thing was going on upstairs with my son.
Yeah.
But my daughter never came down and said anything that she's seen any light coming through her bedroom window, because if it would have went through his window, it would have went through her window, because they're all on the same level,
Gotcha.
And my son didn't come down saying he felt groggy or sick or anything. So I guess they weren't there for him that night. Maybe it was just me, but that was the second time. Yeah, that was pretty wild.
That's incredible.
Yeah,
but
wild stuff.
It is. But I've heard so many stories from different people about things happening in childhood and then repeating as years went on. And I do have an interview that's from a few years ago that was terrifying, of someone that repeatedly got picked up. In fact, a family member even conferred it with me afterward. It's kind of amazing to me how diverse, and I'm on the other side of the country from you.
Yeah.
And I've got locals here from Oregon and Washington that have talked about things that were 40 years ago, 50 years ago, 20 years ago. Very active, and then I've had interviews with people in Alaska and Canada that have had abduction stories and interactions with aliens that there's no reason to dispute them. There's too much information. There's too much connectivity. In fact, I don't know if you've encountered this where you're at, but I've talked with several people that are doing some, and I'm not going to say what it is because people that are into this already know, but there's a form of meditation that's become really popular that supposedly, allegedly, attracts certain types of aliens to come to you if you do this meditation.
Okay.
And so I know of a few people that swear to me that when they've done this with 2 or more people, there's certain craft that will come right to them within an hour of doing this meditation. And so I don't know what's up with that. What's bringing that about, or what's happening?
It's the frequency.
With that?
It's the frequency that they're meditating at. That's what's caused. Like, that's what's calling them down. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's definitely the frequency.
but it fascinates me that it's become so commonplace. I have stories from neighbors that are in their 80s that encountered things in the 1950s, 1958,
Wow.
1967, repeatedly through different areas coming from the coast to this area where I'm at now. And, you know, just a Sunday drive coming home from the beach, and there they are, broad daylight,
Yeah, absolutely.
hovering
Yeah.
over farmhouses and whatnot. They're, yeah, they're not hidden anymore. I mean, it's not something that you miss. It's right there where you can see it. So that's
I think
amazing.
mine started when I was 10 years old. Me and my best friend Richie were on my father's A-frame garage roof,
Hmm.
listening to the local rock station out of Manhattan,
Hmm.
and we were sky watching. We were just sky watching, kids,
Right.
and I seen these 3 points of light dancing in the sky. So I go, hey, Rich, check that out, man. And we're looking at these, and these things are doing figure eights and all kinds of stuff. And I said, I got an idea. And I jumped down off the garage roof. I went into my father's garage, and he had this big, giant flashlight that he used to use for crabbing. And he would go crabbing at night, put the light in the water, and the crabs would come right up to the light,
Oh, wow.
And so I get up on the roof, and I do this Morse code to these things, and they stop. So Richie's like, oh man, let me try that. So he does like a Morse code, and they Morse code back the same thing. It's like, wait, let me try that. I grab the flashlight and I do a different kind of code, different kind of sequence. And one of them drops down from being at star level to
Okay.
just above air traffic coming out of the city. You could
Oh
see
my.
like the planes flying underneath it. And when that thing dropped, and when I tell you, it went from being a star to being it came down in a blink of an eye, a
Okay.
thousandth of a second. Boom. And then
Right.
it just stopped dead. Boom. And we freaked out. We
I
jumped
can
off the
imagine.
garage roof. We ran into my bedroom. He was sleeping over my house that night. It was during the summer. We grabbed our sleeping bags and we crawled under the bed, and we slept under the bed because my brother, had all those books on alien abductions and stuff because he was always into the phenomenons. And my father comes in the room to wake us up in the morning. He doesn't see us in the bed. He's like, where the hell are you guys? And he grabs the bed and he lifts it up with one hand, and we're both sleeping underneath the bed in our sleeping bags. What the hell are you guys doing under the bed,
Right.
And like, we tell him, he goes, oh, don't start with that bullshit. You know what I mean? I don't want to hear this nonsense. And that's when it all started, because right after that, I started sleepwalking. Okay.
Mm.
I've never sleepwalked before. I got a cousin, Dino, who was always sleptwalk his whole life. I
Right.
never sleptwalked. One night I come out of my bedroom. My parents are watching the Late Show with Johnny Carson, right?
Sure.
I
Sure.
come out of the bedroom, and I'm walking down the hallway, and I'm taking giant steps. And my father looks at me. I don't remember any of this conversation. My
Right.
father looks at me and says, where the hell are you going? And I said,
Good question.
I'm going home. And he said, oh, really? And I go, yeah. He goes, where's home? I said, the moon. I'm from the moon. And he said, I started walking like I was walking up steps to go to the moon, like a stairway to heaven kind of thing.
Mm.
And he spun me around, kicked me in the ass, sent me back to bed. Next morning, I wake up, and he goes, you remember what happened last night? And I was like, no, what are you talking about? And my father was a big kidder,
Yeah.
He tells me the story, and I'm not buying it. Like, I don't believe that. So I
Right.
go to my mother. My mother goes, yeah, it really happened, And if my mother said it happened, then I know it happened.
Right.
And then right after that, I started waking up with nosebleeds all the time. There would be blood all over the wall. There would be blood all over the pillow, all over the blankets, blood everywhere. Looked like my throat was slashed.
Mm.
And I said to my father, I said, hey, Pop, what's going on? Why do I? And he says, he goes, you don't stay still at night. You're a flipper and a flopper. You hit your face against the wall. You make your nose bleed.
Mm.
I was like, okay, makes sense to me. But as I got older, I started thinking about this theory that he had.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, wait a minute. I fought every single day when I was in school. I got punched in the nose all the time. My
Right.
nose never bled. I may have got a fat lip or a black eye, but I never got a bloody nose. And I got hit a lot, you know.
Sure.
That was just who I was, you know, and I was a wild kid.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I don't think it has anything to do with me flipping and flopping. You know what I mean? I think there was something else happening there. And then at one point, God, I was about 20 years old, something like that, 18 years old, 19 years old. I was living in Bridgeport, Connecticut, in my brother's house. The apartment I was living in the city, it was a private house. The house got sold, so I had to get out of the apartment. And it was like one of those things where they just said, you got to leave tomorrow. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And I'd have no place. I didn't have time to find another apartment in the city. So my brother said, come live up here. You know, my parents lived in the finished basement. He had the 2 floors in between. He said, I got a giant attic. You know, it's already finished. You could sleep, you know, live in the attic. So, all right. So I move up to Connecticut. But I was working down in this. I was commuting down every day. And one night, I just got this brand new 1984 Mustang. Oh, and I'm cruising up the Parkway, and I'm listening to a Yankee game on the radio, and I'm just cruising, killing it. I got the game going. I'm listening. Beautiful sunny day, nice weather was really, really nice. And I knew where all the cops hid. So when I got close to the speed traps, I would slow down, you know. And I'm coming up this hill, and the car starts sputtering. First the radio starts going in and out. And I'm losing the Yankee game. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? And then the car starts sputtering. And I was like, oh, man, I got to get off the road before I get rear-ended, right? So I get off the road. I'm on top of a hill now. And I get off the road. I'm in the grass. And I'm thinking, I can't believe this damn car just died on me in the middle of nowhere, you know? And I get out of the car, and I'm going to open up the hood to see what's wrong with the car. And I look down. And the parkway is a parking lot on both sides. There's just cars. All you see is tail lights going north and headlights coming south, but it's still daytime out. And I'm looking down at the parkway, and I'm like, well, maybe there's a motorcycle accident or something, because all the traffic is stopped in both directions, you know? I thought something really horrible had happened. Right. So I see a state trooper down there. And I was like, I'll go call the state trooper. He can get me a tow, you know, tow me up to Bridgeport. I was like in Fairfield, Connecticut at that point. And I go down to the trooper, and I said, what's going on? Motorcycle accident? And he looks at me like I got 2 heads. He goes, look up. I go, look up. He goes, look up. And I look up, and there in the sky over the parkway, for some reason, I was always looking down. I never looked up. Right. I look up, and there's this mother craft over the parkway, looked like the Roman Colosseum. Oh. Okay. Both sides of the parkway took up. If you took the Roman Colosseum and you flipped it upside down and you put lights on the bottom of it, okay, but still had the arches going in there. It had arches that went up, I don't know how many stories. I was looking into the arches to see if there was anything looking back out at us, right? And I'm looking at this, and people are out of their car, and everybody's looking up, but there's no one running around with like a chicken without a head, thinking it's the end of the world. Everybody is in just awe. This thing, when I tell you it was as big as the Roman Colosseum, just parked in the sky like they pulled up and threw it in park. And no sound, no wind, no nothing. It's just there. I'm looking at the leaves on the trees, and the branches aren't moving, the leaves aren't moving. There's nothing, no electrical hum, no nothing. So I turned to the trooper and I go, well, what do you think it is? And he looked at me and he was like, what are you, an asshole? He goes, what do you think it is? I go, it looks like a UFO to me. He goes, yeah, no shit, you know? And so we're looking at this UFO, and I'm like, man, I can't wait to get home to tell my brother because my brother was a member of MUFON. He was a field investigator.
Right.
And I was like, I can't wait to get home and tell my brother what I seen on the parkway tonight, because he's going to lose his shit, you know?
Right. Oh, rightfully so.
And this thing is just sitting there. And then all of a sudden it pops up like 1,000 feet. It just goes boop, pops up. And all of a sudden, all the cars start back up, and the police officer's radio comes on. And he says, he calls into the station. He says, scramble to Air National Guards out of the Bridgeport Airport. We have a UFO mothership over these 2 exits on the parkway.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, okay. And they scrambled 2 jets out of the Air National Guard. And I'm standing next to the cop because I'm eavesdropping on the conversation, you know. And the cop's like, we're gonna transfer you over to the head pilot. So he's talking to the head pilot, and the pilot's like, where is it? And he goes, between exit so and so. And the pilot's like, dude, there's nothing on our radar, and we can see for like clear sky. We can see for like 20 miles. There's nothing in front of us. And he's like, you can't miss this thing. I think he said it's as big as Giant Stadium. You know what I mean? That's what the cop said. You can't miss this thing. So then the head pilot said, okay, we'll be there in like 30 seconds, you know? And soon as the head pilot said that to the police officer, this thing shot straight up into the sky, and in the 1,000th of a second was gone. Now these 2 jets come roaring down the parkway side by side. Mm-hmm. The ground is shaking. The trees are bending over sideways, leaves flying everywhere. Felt like the end of the world. Okay.
Right.
Because they're really, really low, you know. They go down, they turn around, and they come back up again for a second pass. And again, it feels like the end of the world. I was never so scared as when those planes came roaring down the parkway. Just scared the living hell out of me. Yeah.
I'm sure.
And then they go back north up to Bridgeport Airport. I come running home. I get home. I run through the back door looking for my brother. My brother is coming in through the front door because I parked in the driveway, so I came in the back. And I go, dude, you're never going to believe what happened. He goes, you're never going to believe what happened tonight. I go, you go first. He goes, I was upstairs painting your apartment. I'm like, okay. Mm-hmm. And he goes, I was listening to Tiny Merkel or something like that on the radio. Right. And he said, there was a UFO over Bridgeport, came in over the Long Island Sound. And this guy on the radio went up on the roof of the radio station, and he seen it. And he said it was going north up Main Street, and it flew right by our house. And it was spotted over by some Catholic church. I forgot the name of the church, but this church was up on a hill. So my brother jumped in his Blazer and got his bazooka lens camera and raced up to the Catholic church, thinking he was going to get the perfect photograph of this UFO up, because he figured he'd be higher. Mm-hmm. But by the time he got there, it had already went south down the parkway. Wow. And so he never seen it, but I seen it south of down on the parkway. And then I tell him my story, because I can't believe you seen it and I didn't see it. You know,
I know it.
I mean, this was before cell phones. There was no cameras or nothing.
Right.
Like that.
Right.
And he goes, and I'm explaining to him how big it was and how, you know, all this stuff, everything I just told you, I'm explaining it to him. And he's like, oh, I can't believe it. Years later, he wrote a book, Frank Santariga, Paranormal Family and Friends. And he said, hey, Al, can I use that, your report in my book? I said, of course, you know. And he reached out to the radio station and said, hey, I'd love to get the tapes of that conversation when he was on the radio live up on the roof. Mm-hmm. And they were like, what are you talking about? That never happened. And my brother goes, what do you mean never happened? I was listening to the show when I was painting my house when the show came on. I heard it live. Right. And they're like, no, we don't have, that never happened. We don't have. So my brother, being a computer guy, research found this guy, Tiny Merkel or whatever his name was, retired in Arizona somewhere. My brother found him.
Oh, wow.
And my brother reached out to him. And he told him, I'm a parapsychologist. I work for MUFON. I'm writing a book. I heard you live on the radio when it happened. My brother seen the craft down in Fairfield, yada, yada, yada. And the guy told my brother, he said, Frank, let it go. He goes, those tapes don't exist anymore. And I don't want to talk about it. He goes, just let it go. Somebody had a talk with him and the record and the radio station. They took the tapes and they told him never to discuss it ever again.
Oh boy. Wow.
And that was the end of that. Yeah. Crazy stuff, man.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I got a million sightings. I've seen a million different kinds of crafts, we could talk about it again another time somewhere down the road, but
yes.
Yeah.
We'll need to, because I was going to say, I actually have a couple of small stories myself.
Okay.
But most of them are from California and Nevada. I have not had that happen since I've been up here for the last 40 years. I've been in this area.
Wow. I'm surprised.
Yeah. And I've seen other stuff, but not that. But honestly, I've heard a lot from other people that have lived here longer than I have.
Yeah.
So I know they're around here. I know they are.
Oh, they're absolutely around there.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. Gosh, Al, I have never heard these stories from you, so I'm excited to hear these. These are incredible. Definitely.
Yeah, no, like I said, I have a million different sightings, a million different experiences. Next time I come on, we'll talk some more about it. I'll share some more sightings and different crafts that I've seen over the years, because I think I've seen every shape there possibly has been. Yeah.
That would be good, because I've only seen a couple, but yeah, I did see a city once, and it was at sunset. And I was very young. I think I might have been 12 when I saw it.
Okay.
And I've seen just the disc type again at dusk in California.
Okay.
And I remember saying something to my dad about it, and I said, "What is that?" And he goes, "Oh, they're here all the time. That's just alien. They're just aliens." And I went, "What?" And he was a kidder, always.
Yeah.
And so I was like, "Oh, he's pulling my leg." But then I saw a poster years later, and I bought it, and it was, and I'm sure you've probably seen it. It was a whole bunch of photographs taken all over the world on the same day of the same cloud that looks like a spaceship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a cloud story too. Yeah, we could remind me of that, and I'll bring up the cloud story too.
Okay.
Crazy stuff. Yeah.
Well, we're gonna have to close out for now,
Okay.
Al, but this has been amazing, and thank you so much for coming back on. I always love chatting with you, and I appreciate your time so much. This is Holly.
No, absolutely.
From Holly's Pandorium with Al Santariga, saying thank you all for coming. Thank you for staying and hanging out with us while we go over these cool stories. And we'll be back to do more of these again soon. But thank you. And please, like my friend Jay likes to remind me, please hit the like button and hit subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything. It takes just a second to hit like, and it really helps the channel. So other people that are interested in this subject matter get a chance to check it out too. Thank you. And we'll see you again soon, everybody.
Good night.